Guards, shopkeepers, donkeys, and even the baby Jesus. These are just a few of the sights you'll find at Journey to Bethlehem. For the past 6 years, a few local Seventh-day Adventist churches have brought the city of Bethlehem to the community. Guests walk through the crowded streets as local Bethlehem residents, visiting shops, paying their taxes, chatting with the wise men, and eventually visiting the manger where the Christ child was born.
The Journey to Bethlehem is really like an interactive play. You're walking through the play, and you're responding to people, and they're talking to you, and you get to feel a little bit like you're part of the play.
Great value.
Yeah.
Handmade here with the finest clay.
Here at this hour. I can tell by the way that you're dressed that you're Jews. What is your business here?
It allows people to get a sense of what it might have been like back then, to be in the culture, to be in the city, and to also kind of experience some of the sights and sounds of what you would have seen if you were actually there at that time.
The church first got the idea from other churches around the state. After being inspired, they decided to bring it to Wenatchee in 2010.
So that was kind of the starting point of what we have now, and it's evolved a little bit and changed a little bit from when we first started.
We have pomegranate for red.
Since then, more than 200 volunteers come together every year to turn a parking lot into a small, bustling city.
You know two alike.
No two alike.
Fine jewels from Arabia.
Very sturdy. Yummy.
It's fun to see them all come together and just really have a fun time.
Starting in May, the planning committee begins brainstorming for the following December, and by September, they're casting and building the shops.
It's not just about having fun and playing in Bethlehem. It's about really understanding and feeling it.
A goal for Journey to Bethlehem is to remind people what Christmas represents.
So many people have been backing away from, the spiritual part of Christmas. There's nothing about what Christmas is really focused on, and that's the birth of Jesus Christ. And so this is an attempt to try and keep Christ in Christmas.
We tend to get so caught up in the clutter. I mean, the shopping, oh my goodness, the after Thanksgiving Day sales.
The event takes people back to the beginning of the story with the birth of Jesus.
The story of Jesus begins right there at the beginning of the Gospels in Matthew, the 1st and 2nd chapter. And then you'll also find it in Luke, the 2nd chapter. Matthew emphasizes the kingly aspect. The Jews were looking for a king. Matthew was a Jew. Luke, on the other hand, was a physician, so he was interested more in healing. And so Jesus is presented as more the Savior in Luke chapter 2. This is just the beginning of the story of Jesus. And of course, you track it through the whole Bible. And it ultimately ends with him coming again the second time. And so this is the first Advent, which we want to focus on, but we also want to recognize that Jesus has died, he has been resurrected, and he's coming again.
Those who take advantage of your weaknesses, think of where you'd be.
Authenticity was pretty important while creating Journey to Bethlehem. The parking lot behind Cascade Christian Academy is transformed using costumes, props, and a cast of over 150 volunteers.
Things in the village we try and keep as authentic as we can. Did a lot of yard sale shopping and antique store shopping. Some of the ladies did when we were first putting it together. And then that collection stays with Bethlehem.
Do you have an egg basket?
No, I don't.
Costumes have been one of the most important aspects of the event since the beginning. The team made most costumes by hand, raiding sewing stashes and using shower curtains.
You look like Robin Hood with just part of that garb on.
Costuming has really been a collaborative effort. It's one of the first things that we started when the idea was accepted that we were going to put on a production like this, costuming was the big deal, along with building the village, because we needed to costume the whole cast.
That's a total of 189 costumes. In recent years, however, it's just been a matter of repairing rips and tears.
So what goes on now, right before a production, is just getting people fitted for costumes, which really is about length. Because they're rather large, they need to fit over winter coats.
She even stressed the importance of length.
Because most of us are not used to walking in long dresses, especially the men. So that's pretty much what we're doing now at this point.
Once those costumes are on, the cast falls right into place.
You kind of just really feel like for the 4 days you are in Bethlehem. The light is dim, you're in costume, the smells, the sounds, everything is there. And it makes it easy to fall into that role. You just become part of the community of Bethlehem when you're out there.
Up to 4,000 people travel through Journey to Bethlehem every year, with more than half of those being first-timers.
So to us, that's an important thing. If everybody that's coming through has gone through it previous years, then at some point people might get tired of it. But if we have over half the people coming through have never been through it before, that means we're reaching another 2,000 people a year that have not been able to see it.
More than 200 people put together Journey to Bethlehem every year.
It's amazing that we have brought this many people together, doing this many things, from the parking lot attendants who first greet people coming and parking their cars, to the people who are handing out cookies and hot chocolate at the very end.
But it's been fun to have them all join in and work with a common goal, young and old, experienced and inexperienced, all doing this and putting it together.
People come from all over central Washington to visit Journey to Bethlehem every year.
It's the start of the Christmas season. It's kind of the kickoff for the Advent, and I think that probably encapsulated what we were trying to do.
I think it really kind of gives people a focus, refocuses their attention on what Christmas is really about from a Christian standpoint.
But they stress that this event is for the general public.
When we started putting this together, we wanted to be sure it was something that was just general enough that anybody would feel comfortable coming.
The Journey to Bethlehem is something that is designed for people of all faiths and people that don't have any particular faith, but they're curious about, just what happened back at the beginning of this era, at the birth of Christ.
Journey to Bethlehem runs the first weekend in December. People are able to reserve tickets online, but it's not required. Anyone in line before 8:30 p.m. will get a chance to take the journey.
Most people are just amazed at what they've just experienced. They really do feel like they have been brought back into that first century and what it would have been like for them to actually go and see Jesus there in the manger. Many people are just extremely moved by that, to see that outside of the hustle and bustle of the village, there's this quiet, serene contemplation of what God really did when He sent His Son to this earth.
After the last group walks through Bethlehem, the cast gets to walk through the city they built.
We all end up at the manger scene at the end, and it just wraps it up. For everyone involved there, you get choked up. You can't help but just be silent and just take a moment and just realize what the meaning of this really is. It's not just a show. This is the story of our Savior. It's just a blessing to everyone that's a part of it as well, not just those that come. So that last night we get to kind of experience what they experienced and take that home with us at the end. And it's just a real blessing.
Will soon deliver you. Abby, did you know